Hello, it's Romanosky from Calgary, Canada with Aiden Goss Shooting. And right now in the shop, we've got an interesting collection of JDM cars. What this is a 2010 Japanese domestic market Lexus HS250h with complete service records, 33,000 kilometers. It's got the original tires on it, which we're going to replace. But it's basically a time capsule car. I mean, it shows as a brand new car. Any Toyota or Honda that you get in North America, or in Calgary at least, you know, usually when it's 15 years old, usually has 200,000 or 300,000 kilometers on it. With this video, we'll go through the exterior, interior. We'll spend some time on all the options because there's quite a few of them. And then we'll have a look underneath the car, look in the engine compartment, then we'll do a road test of the car, a driving video, wrap it all up into about an hour long video. And of course, Lexus or Toyota was a pioneer with hybrids. They came out with the Prius in, I think, 1997. And it was a fairly, it was a fairly ambitious technical challenge, because they have, the combustion engine, and they have a planetary gearbox, and they have two electric motors. So that was, that was super advanced for the late 90s. Honda came out with the second production hybrid, the Insight, but much simpler. The Honda had something called an IMA, what's it called, Integrated Motor Assist, which is basically just an electric motor on the back of the engine where the flywheel is. The difference is with the Toyota products, with the Prius, you could move the car on battery alone because of the planetary gearbox, which would accept drive from the combustion engine and drive from the electric motor, both together or each on their own. Okay, so that was the major advantage of a Prius. And why it got considerably better fuel economy than an Insight in the city. Okay, so the Prius goes through their first generation, their second generation, and in around 2010, they come up with their third generation Prius. Lexus starts out in 1990, of course, and then Lexus decides that they want the first luxury hybrid. Nobody had ever done a luxury hybrid before. Okay, so Toyota had their Prius drivetrain, which was a 1.5 liter and then a 1.8 liter engine, with two electric motors, the battery, etc. But they made a version of that hybrid system, hybrid synergy drive, I think they called it, for larger cars, and they came out with that in the Camry. So then it got, and it was the same architecture, but everything was a little bit bigger. So they had the, instead of a 1.8 liter engine, they had a 2.4 liter engine, and bigger battery, bigger inverters, and just more capacity. So that's what's in this Lexus. It's the Camry hybrid synergy drive system with a 2.4 liter engine. But it's not a Camry body style, and it's not a Camry with a facelift. It's actually a unique body. I think there is a version of a Toyota in Europe, I think, which looks like this, but not in North America. So when this came out in 2010, it was a unique car. There was no Toyota variant of it. It was just a Lexus, and it was billed as the first luxury hybrid. It was also quite fast for its day, because it combined, I think, about 140 horsepower combustion engine with about 40 horsepower from the electric motors, giving a total of about 180 horsepower, and that giving 0 to 100 acceleration in under 9 seconds. And the Priuses and the Insights were quite a bit over 10. So this offered a lot more luxury than a Prius, and also higher performance. It picked up some marks underneath the spoiler here, and I think that happened just when it was getting to Canada. So it's got a little scrape underneath the bumper here. Otherwise, the front bumper is perfect. There's no scrapes on either side of it. As again, we've been accustomed to these Japanese cars. They don't have one single rock chip. Like it's like they don't have rocks on the road in Japan. There's not a single rock chip on this car. I bought a new car less than 2 months ago, and it is in worse shape than this. And it's 6 weeks old, and this is 15 years old. Okay, so there's just so big of a difference between a Calgary winter and Japan. And in the windscreen, you know, I don't say again. There just isn't anything. It's the original Lexus windscreen. There's no mark on it at all. There's no marks on the front bumper. I wonder if they even sell PPF in Japan, because you just don't need it. All right, so on the left-hand side, there's nothing. There's no door dings. There's no scratches. There's nothing. All the wheels are perfect, except one has a little bit of curb rash. All the rest of the wheels are unblemished. The tires are original to the car and old, so we're going to replace those. I just haven't done it yet. Around the back, the rear bumper. Actually, that's unusual even for a Japanese car. I mean, usually you'll get, you know, some chunks taken out of the plastic when they're loading. It doesn't look like anything's ever been in there. It doesn't look like anybody's ever touched the jack. And then there's a spare tire under there too. And I'm sure nobody's ever touched it. It doesn't look like anything's ever been in the trunk. If a car is really dirty, by the way, they may have washed the outside, but often these areas here, the dirt really accumulates. And you can see, you know, I could have wiped it down a bit better. But again, you can see the camera there. But again, the thing's just absolutely spotless. Driver's side, right-hand side, there's nothing. It may as well be a new car. Now the curb rash on the one wheel is sadly right here. So that is basically, is that the only exterior flaw in the car? And underneath the front spoiler, and that's it. Okay, so I got my paint meter here, and we're just going to do paint meter readings on the car and see what we get. Factory paints usually between 100 and 150 micrometers. This is a 3-stage pearl, so it's probably a little bit thicker. Let's see what we get. Starting on this fender, 165, 205, 196, 235, 237, 229, 181, 183, 149, 190, 177, 157, 176, 180, 208, 174, 174, 239, 234, 215, 246, 218, 149, 195, 180, 185, 213, 141, 182, 161, 139. 285, 297, 316, 294, 323, 304. So based on this, the paint is a little bit thicker than I'm used to. But again, it's this Lexus Pearl paint. That being said, the hood is a little bit thicker than the rest of the car. Matches perfectly. But the meter doesn't lie. So this hood is a little bit thicker than the rest of the car, leading me to believe that the bonnet on this car could have been repainted. And let's take a look for the original stickers, and they're all on the car. And we'll take a look at these bolts. They don't look like they've come off. A little dirty in there, but you know, it doesn't look to me like the bolts have come off. So I think for whatever reason.
What does this paint read if you put the meter on that?
Yeah, that doesn't have the clear, so it's going to be less. Doesn't have the top coat. Yeah, it's only 44. Okay, so that wraps up the paint meter. And the exterior of the car, it's basically perfect. No accident car. For whatever reason, the hood was repainted, but it appears to be the original hood. And otherwise, it just shows basically like a new car. Okay, the interior of the Lexus, it's, well, it's two-tone, as you can see. The black on the saddle leather with the burl wood. It's all in beautiful shape. I mean, you can see a little bit of honest patina, I'm going to call it, on the seat leather. It still has its original suppleness and aroma. Importantly, it hasn't been painted, because you can do that and have it look new, but it kind of destroys the finish a little bit. So I prefer that the leather was just left alone. And then we've got the ventilated pieces, and we've actually got three different types. You have a little bit of a darker feature in the seats. It all comes together really well. There's no flaws in the interior. There's no rips or tears in the seats. Nothing was stuck on the dash. The carpets are in beautiful shape. You know, the sills still have their protective coating on. Can you see this? You know, doesn't look like anybody's been in the back. Like it's just, it looks, you know, like new in here. I mean, my kids have certainly never been in it. Let's walk around the other side. Door panels are all in good shape. Seat belts are all in good shape. I mean, sometimes the belts, even on a new car, if they get left like that and the door gets slammed, you can, I did that on my brand new car. Like it was like 3 days old and I did it. But you can see dents that are on the inner door sill. We don't see any of that. You know, it's a lot of times these areas here can get scuffed up, particularly for kids and so on, and especially in winter. You can get marked up pretty quick. There's virtually no scuffing at all, and you know, like I said, all the protective films still left on the sill plates. I don't see any flaw at all in the interior. It's basically perfect. I mean, the outside edge of the driver's seat, you can tell it's not new, but it's not worn either. Like I said, it just has some honest wear on it. Car is 33,000 kilometers. And we look at the trunk, and yeah, it's virtually new back here. It doesn't look like anybody's ever put anything in there. And let's go look at the engine compartment. see what we've got here. Okay, so 2.4 liter, 4-cylinder, Atkinson cycle, Toyota engine. The Atkinson cycle just plays around with the exhaust valve timing to get greater efficiency at the expense of outright performance. But the Toyota hybrids use, and many other Toyotas use this style of engine, and you know, fuel economy was you know, foremost in the objective. And keep in mind, it's the combustion engine's coupled with the electric motor, so the performance in this, it's almost 200 horsepower. We have the orange cables for the high voltage system. Exhaust manifold and cat are right out front. There's not much to see here. It's just a Toyota engine. There's no issues. Really, you know, fully loaded doesn't kind of begin to describe it. Let's turn on the power. Turn on the lights. Okay, and we have this really clever illuminated pole to help you park. And isn't that I hadn't even seen that before. Retractable. And going around the front of the car, these are the headlamp washers. This will pull out and spray the lights. We have the ultrasonic parking sensors. We have the fog lights. We have the front camera, which is for a 2010. Not too many cars had that. Okay. This is where the pole retracts. We have a dash cam that was added. So we can see that stuck to the windshield. All right, so we have our door locks, we have memory seats. Okay, that's fairly common. Our 4 windows. We have illuminated door sills, and they actually still have the protective strip on them. It was never taken off. Fairly plush floor mats, and I don't know, 10-way or so adjustable seats. We have this. If we look here, here is our retractable pole for the front bumper. That's the traction control. We have a rear window sunshade. You can see that just deploy there. And we'll set it back down. Okay, fairly standard executive level kind of stuff. Headlamp washers, and then we have the parking. We can see that. And it actually is kind of like a bird's eye. You can take a picture of that. All right. In the center, we have our seat heat. That the seat surface is ventilated, so we've got heated and cooled seats. And then we have a USB and auxiliary there, plus a 12-volt outlet. All right, so let's have a look at the steering wheel here. We have folding mirrors and our mirror controls here. We have this, that's for the camera, and we have this sort of controller with sort of a haptic feedback that controls the screen. Temperatures here, we've got an ionizer, fully automatic climate control, CD, and cassette. Open, close, and tilt. We can push that away if we want. And what does tilt do? Okay, so we can have this at any angle we want. And interestingly, all the controls are in English, despite the fact that it is a JDM car. So all that is fairly straightforward. In this car, we've got 3 modes for the powertrain. EV is strictly electric. Eco is, you know, probably the best compromise. And then we have the full power mode as well. We've got a power sunroof with a shade. We have adjustable anchors for our seat belts. And on the wheel, we've got our hands-free and then various menu options here. Nice display, as Lexus is pretty good at it. Oh, the one for parking even shows the pole. That's funny. Okay. And anyway, we can cycle through. But you know what? It's all in English. You know, my other, well, not all, but on my other cars, it's just all Japanese. This one shows where the power is coming from, whether the wheels are being driven by the battery, the engine, or both. This is our big nav screen, and that's in Japanese, so bear with me here. But you can generally get an idea of what's going on. This one here is for the fuel consumption. That's where I'd always keep it. And I'd expect this car to generate, I'm guessing 6 liters per 100 kilometers. I'm anxious to try it out and see what it does. Anyway, it's, I'm just trying to think. It's got, I mean, HID headlamps, headlamp washers. It's got Parktronic. It's got cameras front and rear. It's going to have stability control. It's going to have traction control, ABS, of course. It's going to have all that. Memory seats, the rear sunshade, fully automatic climate control. This is, I mean, everything you'd expect on an executive level car. It'd be the same spec on a Lexus ES350. We had one of those in a while ago. And so it would have all of that equipment, but it would have everything from a Prius too. So that's what kind of makes this car interesting. And it even has the Prius's gear selector, actually, which I really like. And this, this tiny joystick here, which is actually really intuitive to use close to the wheel and so on. Obviously, the car is well insulated and so on, so road noise is suppressed, wind noise and so on. It's a luxury car, as the world's first luxury hybrid, as Toyota put it. And then it's a nice design. I love this floating console. There's just creates a sense of space. This retracts, a lot of storage in the middle. But this piece here is actually really quite interesting. I can't think of another car that does it exactly like that. Anyway, there's a lot of standard equipment in the car, as you'd expect from a Lexus. But we have the service records, all the manuals and books, and interestingly, for a Japanese car, they don't normally come with the service records for whatever reason. So this one does, and in Japan, you've got to get your car inspected every 2 years. And I've actually never seen these before. It's the first car that I've ever bought from Japan that has all of the biannual service records, and there's even a summary of them. Like it's like somebody went through and these are the maintenance items, these are the years, and somebody's gone through and checked off exactly what they've done when. It's very, very thorough through all of these years. And then there's markings here for the oil change, oil filters, etc., brake fluid change. And then somebody actually kept track of all of this all the way to 2021, I guess, was the last entry. And then in addition to that, we've got these records, which then start when the car was new at 86 kilometers, 1505 kilometers, 2,559 kilometers, 4,410 kilometers. Like the car was inspected and serviced every few thousand kilometers. Like it's had more servicing in the first 6,000 kilometers than most cars do in 200. 5950, 8191, and then we go here. I don't even see the mileage on this one. $8,596 kilometers, 10,609 kilometers, 14,484 kilometers, 17,821 kilometers, 19,714 kilometers, 23,510 kilometers. And then here's the last one that I have, which is 32,471 kilometers. It's only got 33,000 kilometers, 33,001 kilometers now. So less than 500 kilometers ago, it got inspected, and I did translate that from Japanese, and it's like a full service, including coolant, brake fluid flush, the CVT, gearbox, and I guess there's fluid for the hybrid system that also got replaced. So we've got the full book. So we've got the 2 original keys plus this Lexus key card that come with the car. Okay. Okay, so we have this 2010 Lexus HS250h up on the hoist. And so now is the ideal time to go through it, and we can have a close look at the undercarriage and tires, etc. I think that this view looking underneath the car is more illustrative of the car's overall condition than the top side, because you really get an idea of what the car has been through. So let's turn the camera around and we'll just go through this Lexus with critical eye, and we'll go through what it looks like underneath. Okay, so let's take a look at this in closer detail. First, we can look to the spoiler. We'll look for damage on the corners, on the lower part where it's the most vulnerable, and we'll just walk through that. Now, it was scraped up in transit from Japan. Now, this is on the bottom of the spoiler, totally invisible from the top of the car, but you can see that it was scraped, and there was a scrape there too. Again, that's invisible from the top, and that just happened, which is kind of too bad, but it's there. The rest of the front bumper looks basically new. We can look to this front under tray. These are susceptible to damage. They're held on by a bunch of fasteners, basically self-tapping fasteners. Over-torquing them snaps the under tray, and then it can come apart. It's susceptible to road damage. So we can look at the integrity of all of these plastic under trays, which are important for aerodynamics, actually, just managing the airflow under the car. I think this car is a really low CD, like 0.25 or 0.26 or something like that, in part because of these items. Now, they can be a little bit of a pain when you're servicing the car. So if somebody's been in there a lot, they've taken these things on and off, you know, they might not have been careful when they put it back. The fasteners might be missing, and might have cracked it, you know, etc. So all this looks good. All the fasteners are in place. We can go back to this front subframe here and the suspension, and look for rusty bolts, look for corrosion on the A-arms, and you know, you can get just the very, very slightest amount of I wouldn't even call that corrosion, just where the paint is sort of worn off. In a Calgary car being peppered with rock chips, those pieces are rusty after 2 winters, okay? This car is 15 years old. Now we just see the beginnings of a little bit of corrosion on some of these bolts, but the threads are still good. All these bolts will come straight off. There'll be no issues removing any of these parts when the time comes, in its current state at least. And like I said, a 2-3-year-old Toyota in Calgary, you know, these things are rusted solid, okay? So we'll look into the front suspension. We'll look for cracking rubber boots. You know, all the rubber looks in good shape. We'll go around, look for the brake lines, and make sure that, you know, look for any sort of evidence of deterioration there, and we don't see it. The boots for the front axle. Again, looking for corrosion, leaks from the shocks. There's no accident damage. You know, all the finishes look original. Looks all untouched, as you probably might expect. All the routing for the wiring looks good. Doesn't look like anybody's been in here, basically. Okay, so all this stuff looks good. I mean, this looks like, I would say, in Calgary, this is what cars look like after 2 years. Okay, this car is 15 years old. We can look to the bottom of the engine, gearbox, big planetary gearbox. So, you know, all that looks factory sealed. There's no leaks from anywhere. There is the sump and the drain plug. The oil filter lives accessible up in there without having to take anything off. So that's nice. All looks excellent there. No leaks of any kind. It's bone dry underneath. The exhaust doesn't have any evidence of corrosion. It's quite a big bore exhaust, actually. It winds its way up through there. And then there's this big, I'm not sure what all that is, but it's a substantial piece anyway. It looks like it's stainless as well, just judging by these welds. I'm not all sure what's going on there. Some sort of a valve. I'm not sure what that does. Anyway, I'm sure it's emission related. Anyway, the exhaust will follow that back, winds its way up here, and then we get to this big silencer at the back. All that looks good. Rear bumper, no, it looks new. There's no evidence of any paintwork or damage to the rear bumper. Going back in the rear suspension, looking through evidence of deteriorating rubber. There's none. All the lines are uncorroded. You know, the tiniest little bit of corrosion starting on some of the fasteners, but you know, all the original finishes on the metal. And of course, I didn't go in here with a spray can and try to make it look better than it is. This is just the way the car is. No corrosion whatsoever on the body shell. I guess that's the fuel tank, plastic fuel tank. No leaks from fuel. All the sills look good. Jacking points look good. There's no evidence that it was improperly jacked, causing damage to some of the sheet metal. I've seen that before. You know, all these pieces look you know, have factory finishes on them with no damage. And I guess we'll look at the tires. So these are virtually brand new. I think they just have 1,000 kilometers on them or so on. They're Nokian, 4-season. They have a date code of 2022 on them. See that there. We'll look at the back ones. And they're virtually new. So what else can I show you about the undercarriage of this car? Well, it's pretty good. I don't know that on a 30,000 kilometer car or a 15,000 or a 33,000 kilometer 15-year-old car, you can really pick any pulse at all about the way this Lexus looks underneath. Okay, with that, that's what this 2010 Lexus HS250h looks like underneath. So in summary, I think the Lexus HS250h is a really interesting car. It combines all the bells and whistles, beautiful leather interior, etc., of a luxury car with near Prius-like fuel economy. To put this in perspective, I also had a full-size Range Rover, and I calculated that on the type of driving that I do, it was going to cost me $9,000 a year in fuel to drive my kids to soccer and so on in the Range Rover. When I got the Prius and the Insight, I drove both those cars, and they got about 1/4 the fuel economy of the Rover. So instead of about 16, 17 liters per 100 kilometers, they were like 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. I did find, especially the Insight, to be a little bit Spartan, a little bit plain, and without heated seats and some other stuff. It just felt a little bit too utilitarian. Also, it had lots of road noise and wheel noise and stuff, and it just didn't have a lot of sound insulation. And I just wasn't, I mean, I appreciated the fuel saving, but at the end of the day, I wasn't that happy driving it. And so the Lexus HS250 was sort of the next logical choice because it combines all of the luxury that you'd expect on a mid or even full-size German or Japanese car. I mean, there's no equipment that it's lacking, even compared to modern offerings. And yet the fuel economy, you know, I anticipate this gets around 6 liters per 100 kilometers. So it wouldn't be a quarter the Range Rover's fuel economy, but it would be a third of it. And I thought, well, maybe that's the perfect compromise between having all the refinement and the luxury that, you know, if you're in a car a lot every day that you really come to appreciate, but still gets, you know, fantastic fuel economy. 6 liters per 100 kilometers is spectacular for a car of this size and this amount of space, and you know this amount of luxury. So I think that's why this is a really interesting car. It's a JDM car, and I think, you know, the reason for that is you just can't find cars like this in this kind of shape in Canada. There's not a single rock chip on the car. It looks basically brand new. It only has 33,000 kilometers on it, and it's got, you know, another, well, it still has 20 years of service in it. So from a whole, you know, financial perspective, the cost of purchasing it, what it's going to be worth when you're done it, which is still a lot because it's a Toyota, and then the cost of operation, this becomes a really solid value in terms of, you know, what you get to drive every day, but at a very reasonable cost, you know, in depreciation and in running costs. So I think this is like a super cool car, and something a little bit different. But most of all, it's in such nice shape. Comes with all the books and all the keys, all the maintenance records. I mean, you couldn't really ask for any more in a pre-owned car than this Lexus. The only thing we're going to do is change the tires. They're original tires, but they're starting to dry crack. So we'll change those out before the car is sold. So thank you very much, Lawrence Romanosky and Aidan Goss from Calgary, Canada. Please like and subscribe.